So welcome for the judge training. Actually, I am the new RollFest director. I took over from CJ Chung, and I'm also probably going to serve as the chief game judge this season as well. So again, pretty much everything that we're going to be going over today, if it's not currently up on our website, it will be. That's rollfest.net. In particular, you can find the official game rules and the game score sheet. And this year's game is called Stack Rolls. Actually, let me try and minimize that. Again, the official rules were published on February 6th. Again, if you go to our website, or if, again, we'll make this PowerPoint available on our website, you can then click on this link to look at the score sheet. Hopefully, again, everyone competing today already has that available and printed out. Again, we're expecting that the majority of our competitions this season will be online, although we do know there's a few lucky groups that I think are optimistic that they can hold in-person competitions. But at least today's training will be under the assumption that, again, the majority will be doing online format. Again, all competition sites do need a team ID sign. The coach should print this out from the file operations menu on the coach homepage. Teams, we again highly recommend they use a common online camera setup. We'll talk about that. That'll make it easier for judging if there's, again, multiple teams at a site. Zooming in, again, judges will need to check the playing field setup before the official runs. Each location must have its own location judges to proctor and prevent unauthorized activities. And again, translators are allowed where needed. Again, RollFest is an international competition, so we have many different countries participating. Okay, so for the online competition format, again, the competition materials are provided by the RollFest office at LTU. And we send the unknown tasks and factors via Zoom. I think we'll send those via the chat today. And again, we may have multiple teams at separate locations. Each team should have its own collection of judges. Then once the competition is over, the judges will send the scores and video links back to the RollFest office. Okay, then for the location setup. Again, basically, again, once the competition starts, after opening ceremonies, again, we encourage parents to leave the location, or again, or at least maybe go to a separate room so that the kids can practice unimpeded. Again, events, if possible, we'd like them, to be live streamed so that, again, spectators can watch the events. Again, we ask that each team have like a common camera setup. So again, if you see in the middle here, again, hopefully you'll have your camera with the playing field. Typically, we'd like the bottom left corner facing the camera to be the start zone where the robot is. And so then the black piece of paper on the playing field, the target zone should be on the right side as the camera is facing the playing field. And ideally, the team table will be behind the playing field. The recommended number of judges per site is 3. You can get by with only 2. You definitely need a location head judge that is logged in via Zoom. And you also need a location judge that has a separate device for video recording. And again, both devices should have a microphone and, of course, camera capability. Some more information about location judges. Again, the location judges must complete and sign the pre-event checklist. We went through that during check-in today. So today we've already done that. Again, during an event, they'll show it during check-in and submit that with the official scores, the signed, completed check-in. Location judges must sign a pledge document and recite the pledge during the opening ceremony. Ideally, the location judge will be a person who does not have any direct relation to the team. Obviously, depending on the pandemic situation, that may or may not be feasible. Again, we certainly don't want anyone to bring in someone to their home who might potentially spread the virus. But again, check if you're again outside the USA. Check with your national director just to make sure your location judge fits is acceptable. Again, basically today we're doing your training during the competition. We will be preparing a online video for, again, other judges at other sites to watch if they're not attending today's warm-up event. And location judges are to proctor and prevent unauthorized activities. The location judge will score each round and submit official scores. Location judges are responsible for capturing a video of each run, and they will upload this video and send it to the RoboFest office so that the office can verify the score. The video, again, at least must make it clear, again, that this was a live run. So again, it may not be feasible to show both the screen and the playing field, but at least as long as we have at least the audio, if not say video from the beginning, like the countdown from the chief judge, that should be enough. And again, the ending, for instance, should be also clear that it was taken again during the live event. We ask that you upload the videos within 1 hour of the end of the competition. Again, if there's any technical issues, just email us if you need more time, but hopefully that will give you enough time to upload these files. Again, they may be rather large. That's why we're allowing this much time. And here's at least what the pre-event checklist looks like. So again, if you are a location head judge, you'll need to fill this out for the team that you are the judging. And again, certain events, again, we recommend that you do prior to the event, at least a day in advance or so, or at least maybe a few hours in advance. And then again, just prior to the event, there's the bottom part to fill out. And location judges need to print this checklist and fill it out. And again, pretty much all forms for a game can be found at our website. Again, this PowerPoint will be available, and you can click the link there on the right of this slide for this checklist. For online event timing, again, all teams will start simultaneously. Of course, that's assuming typically, again, you might be like all junior game teams or all senior game teams. The site host will be the official timer. So again, all teams competing will need to listen for the official site host to give the countdown. Local judges will use the RoboFest start signal via their online connection, typically via Zoom. The local judge will enter an estimated time on the score sheet. The official times are going to be determined by the site host after the event, again, when the site host reviews the videos. Keep in mind, there are no reruns, so please, if you're recording, just let the recording keep going if anything funny happens. The judge should not instruct the team to pick up the robot until either the robot has fallen off the table or the end of the run. And again, the team and the timer can determine if the run is ended. Again, teams basically can stop anytime they want to. We'll say more, of course, about if the robot does fall off the table, teams are allowed one reset, maximum one reset. RoboFest reserves the right to make judgments and score adjustments after review of team submissions. Here's a synopsis of the game. So again, the task this season is to move toilet paper rolls to the target zone, reviewed by TZ. Highest points will be given if basically for the higher the stack is. So ideally, all the toilet paper, all 5 rolls will be stacked in one tall stack, as you can see in that bottom picture. For a game round, there's a maximum of 2 minutes allowed. There is one full reset allowed, and we'll explain more about the full reset. For RoboFest game, all the tasks must be done autonomously without any external help. There will be some unknown tasks and factors, UTFs, unveiled just before the 30-minute work time. This will include information about the starting location and orientation of the robot. Again, some locations of the roles, more for juniors, fewer for seniors. And just a warning to teams, it's possible that new items and landmarks may be added on the table for the game-ending task, probably especially for the online world championship. Would be most likely that might happen. Then we have some slides for example scores. All these again are only the scoring of basically the stacking or location points. So for instance, in addition to the scoring, teams also can earn 2 points as long as the robot stays intact, and the game ending task is 10 points. So for stacking points, in the top picture on the left, again, none of the toilet paper rolls are stacked, so there are 0 stacking points. For location points, again, if you look at that top left picture, there is 1 toilet paper roll completely in the target zone, so that earns 7 points. there are 3 toilet paper rolls that are only partially in the target zone. So each of those earns 3 points. And then the 5th toilet paper roll is unmoved. So the total score for that top left picture is 16. And again, on the right, you can see all the possible values for stacking points. Basically, again, primarily, you need to first look at the tallest stack, whether it's 2, 3, 4, or 5, and then look at the second tallest stack. And basically, if it's 0 or 1, you don't have to worry about it. If the second tallest stack is 2, then, of course, that can affect the scoring. And for the location of the roll, main things for judges to check is the toilet paper roll completely inside the zone for 7 points, or is it only partially in the zone, 3 points, or is it moved for 1 point? Then looking at the example on the bottom left, here, right, we have 2 rolls completely in the zone, 1 roll partially in the zone, 1 roll that's actually moved. Again, as long as it's moved from its original location, it counts as moved, and 1 roll unmoved. So the points, at least just from stacking and from location, should be 18 for that example. And again, for all these, they could earn additional points, up to 12 additional points for staying intact and the game ending task. We'll say more about the game ending task later. Wait, we have, I think, about probably 8 or 10 examples. So hopefully these will get hopefully help answer maybe some of the questions that you might have, but we can hopefully maybe take questions at the end of this presentation, or possibly we might have to save questions while teams are during the work time. If my goal is hopefully to get this finished before 2 o'clock, so that we spend at most half an hour on this judge training. Wait, top left, right, nothing stacked. 1 roll totally inside for 7 points. Only 2 rolls partially. And 2 rolls moved. So the moved rolls get just 1 point. So that'd be 15 stacking and location points for the top left. For the bottom left, this was actually a little bit of a tricky case. Notice there are basically 3 rolls completely in the target zone. There's 1 roll partially in, and the final toilet paper roll is unmoved. One thing to emphasize about the stacking is, again, basically, when you count the height, again, the toilet paper roll that's on top of 2 rolls can only be counted as being part of 1 stack. So the tallest stack is 2 rolls, and there is no second tallest stack. So you can't like sort of get extra points with like putting a toilet paper roll on more than 1 base. So again, it only gets 20 stacking points, not 23. Next on the top left, here we have 4 rolls entirely in the zone, so they each get 7 points. This time we actually have 2 stacks, so the tallest stack is 2, the second tallest is also 2, and that's why it gets 23 stacking points. In the bottom left, here we have 2 stacks. The tallest stack is 3, the second tallest stack is 2, and that should be 33 stacking points. Notice all 5 toilet paper rolls are inside the target zone, giving each 7 times 5 total of 35 location points. Okay, next on the top left, here we have the tallest stack is 4. Of course, if the tallest stack is 4, there can only be 0 or 1. For instance, I guess if the toilet paper roll would be moved off the table, that might count as 0. But again, the good news is basically anytime a stack is only 1 in height, it does not affect the scoring. So notice a stack has to be at least 2 in height to possibly affect scoring. So in this case here, since the tallest stack is 4, it gets 43 points. And you don't have to worry about the second stack. And of course, then finally in the bottom left, since there are only 5 toilet paper rolls, if all 5 are stacked, you get 53 points is the maximum amount of stacking points. And notice in this case here, all 5 rolls are completely in the target zone. Basically, at least if you look at the shadow of the toilet paper rolls going directly down, it's completely inside the target zone. So that would also get the each 7 points times 5, the 35 stacking points. And if this bottom left, if it stayed intact and completed the game ending task, it would get a perfect score of 100. It could get 12 additional points, 2 for staying intact, 10 for the game ending task. So these scores, oh, actually, sorry, even more. Sorry, I have a couple more. I think these are the last two, maybe. Yeah, okay. Okay, so top left, here we have, right, 2 rolls are completely in the target zone. The other 2 rolls that are stacked are only partially in the zone. So keep in mind, partially in the zone only gets 3 points instead of 7. And the 5th toilet paper roll has been moved for 1 point. But notice again for the stacking points, it doesn't matter where the rolls are stacked. They could be anywhere on the table and get stacking points. So for the stack, you just need to look at the height, not necessarily the location, as long as it's on the table. So tallest stack is 2, second tallest is also 2. So that gets 23 points. Then on the bottom left, notice the tallest stack is 3. The second tallest stack looks like it's going to be 1. Or again, the good news is if it's 1 or 0, you don't really have to worry about if it's 1 or 0. It's only if it were 3 and 2 that it would affect the points. And 3 with a 1 or 0, right, turns out to be 30 stacking points. And 1 toilet paper entirely in the zone for 7 points. And right, 3 rolls were moved. We have 4 demo videos currently available. I think in the interest of time, we'll just play at least one right now. We can, the other ones we might have a chance to visit during while the teams are working on the robots. We'll have 30 minutes while the teams are working that you can ask questions about the game, and we can go over any FAQs, whatever, if there's stuff that I have not addressed in this training. Oh, actually, this should all be local. Hopefully clicking on this is not a bad idea. Or we'll see if it takes too long to load. I might try and run it. I've got YouTube open separately. Sorry, just a second. I'll redo that one. I'm not sure where the video is. I've got too much stuff open. Start from the beginning. There it is. Okay. Oh, I still need to share my screen. Back. Oh, hopefully, can everyone see it now?
We can see it. Thanks.
And a reminder to judges, just make sure, of course, you only need to do the scoring at the end of the round. So the good news is about the only thing you need to watch for during the actual run is violations. Like, does a student ever touch the robot, or does the robot fall off the table? Other than that, you just need to look if things are moved. Well, I guess basically you need to maybe pay attention to whether or not things are moved. If things are only slightly, actually, well, there should be hopefully a surefire way of determining if things are moved if you are using the whole replacement stickers that we advise. Or if you use like some type of location marker like masking tape or something. So yes, hopefully you can do all the scoring at the end of the run. And only watch for violations is your main task during the run. And a reminder, teams have a maximum of 2 minutes for each round. And actually, let me go back before I show those scores. So let's see. Looking at that, at the end of this run, I think it looks like there are maybe 2 stacks of the heights of 2 each. It's a little hard to tell from this angle. So again, obviously if you're a judge, please make sure you zoom in with your camera and get close to, try and verify if things are totally in or partially in. But looking at the scoring that we say, they're zoomed in a little bit. Wait, so it looks like, right, because of the two stacks, right, of maximum height 2, second height 2, 23 points. Right, according to this, right, looks like all the stacks, or the toilet paper rolls were only partially in. So 5 times 3 is 15 points. The robot was intact, and it did not accomplish the game-ending task. And if everything is added up correctly, looks like that score should have been 40 points. And it looks like we got more of the video, so maybe it's going to go through that in detail. Not sure what the next 30 seconds is. Oops. Play.
Yeah, I think that's it for the video, Chris.
That's it. Okay, okay. Maybe just leave that up there for 30 seconds. Okay. Okay, and we have other videos. So again, there's 3 other videos, but I think I don't want to hog the floor too much. So we can come back if we have time, maybe at the end of the presentation, or again, we might have a chance to watch some of these during the work time. And again, this PowerPoint will be uploaded on our website where you can watch the other videos to try and make sure you agree with the sample scoring to get an idea about scoring. And one of the main purposes of the warm-up competition today is we'll be recording and preparing additional videos based on what happens today. So hopefully in addition to these 4, we'll get some good videos from today that can also assist with our judge training. Okay, next slide, differences between junior and senior age divisions. Okay. Again, in general, the game ending task will be harder for senior. Just to emphasize, again, the junior teams competing today should be in 5th through 8th grades. Senior teams competing will be in 9th through 12th grades. For the location of the initial toilet paper rolls, that's the major difference between junior and senior. For junior, 3 of the 5 rolls are always in the same location. Then 2 of the rolls, numbers 4 and 5, are unveiled before the work time. So at least the junior teams today will have 30 minutes to basically practice with the unknown location rolls, number 4 and 5. For seniors, they only know where 2 of the 5 rolls are specified, rolls number 1 and 2. The other 3, number 3, 4, and 5, stay unknown throughout the entire competition. Judges will only set those in their actual locations after the robots are impounded. The target zone is fixed in the same location for both junior and senior. Number of toilet paper rolls is the same for both junior and senior, 5. For junior, they are only allowed 1 onboard computer controller. So again, judges should check for that. Seniors are allowed there's no limit on onboard controllers for seniors. Vision sensors are not allowed for junior. Vision sensors are allowed for senior. The playing field setup. Again, it should be a standard, like plastic 6-foot table, or at least as long as it's a 6-foot table. It could be made out of other materials, but again, for juniors, the locations of toilet paper rolls 1, 2, and 3 are always in the same location. Again, on the right here, basically lists all the important dimensions. Notice A, the 12 centimeters is basically the distance to the center of the toilet paper rolls from all the edges. B is basically going to be the distance that marks the closest part of the toilet paper that will mark out the start zone. The robot, when it starts, needs to be completely within that 50 by 50 centimeter square. C is the distance from the left edge of this table. Again, if this is the standard camera view to the center of toilet paper roll number 3, that's fixed at 75 centimeters for junior. For senior, that's always unknown. But again, it can only be between 40 and 100 centimeters. D is the distance to the center of toilet paper roll 4 from the right edge of the table. E, the distance to the center of toilet paper roll 5 from the edge of the table. D and E are unveiled before the beginning of the round, before the work time for juniors. D and E, those distances are completely unknown for seniors. And again, those distances C, D, and E are given to the location head judges, but those should not be set for seniors until after impounding. And the target zone, again, that's always in the same location for all rounds. Again, those dimensions are X and Y. And we encourage you to use hole reinforcement stickers to mark the location of rolls. Masking tape could also work if you don't have easy access to those stickers, but we've at least found them to be convenient. Okay, violations, full reset, and end of game. When any of the following violations occur, judges shall stop the gameplay immediately to avoid further disruption of the field. If a human touches the robot or playing field materials, that is a violation. Again, once this robot starts moving, the player cannot touch it. If the robot hasn't moved, then, for instance, the players might, if they accidentally press the wrong button, as long as the robot hasn't moved, they could keep pressing buttons. If the robot falls off the table, that's an automatic violation, again, or if any part of the robot touches the floor. These tables, again, should basically be directly on the floor, not raised up. Any other illegal activities that the judges determine would also, again, the judges, again, would determine if that constitutes a violation. But the two main violations either be the robot falling off the table, or, again, any part of the robot touching the floor, or, again, any time the human touches the robot or playing field once the robot has started moving. Teams are allowed a one-time full reset in the event of any violation, but they do receive a penalty. Or, again, if they prefer, they can just declare the end of the run if they don't want a reset. If reset is selected, keep in mind it is a full reset, so the judges need to reset all of the toilet paper rolls in their original locations. And again, time never stops, so again, time just keeps running, so judges, please reset the table promptly. Again, if the robot is still moving when a team calls end of run, or at the time limit, points will not be awarded for the end of task, which will definitely require stopping. Robot specifications. The maximum size is 50 by 50 centimeters. Again, easy thing, I guess, for judges to check it this year, right? It just has to fit within, right, the start zone. So as long as the robot doesn't touch either toilet paper rolls 1 and 2, it will be okay. And again, that needs, of course, include any expansion. So the robot is never allowed to be bigger than 50 by 50 centimeters in terms of length and width. There is not a height requirement this year, and I think, at least I noticed, I think one of our warm-up robots took advantage of that fact. Again, all the wheels for driving must touch the table surface. Again, no restrictions on height or weight. Any type of number of sensors or motors, as long as everything is safe. Any material robot kit can be used. All teams do need to have a RoboFest team ID and name tag on the top of their robot. Teams also need to have a label identifying the front, since, again, part of the starting orientation will be specified, and the front will need to face at least some direction. And to achieve the game ending task, more than likely, especially at Worlds, they'll possibly need a display screen. For today, that may or may not be necessary, but more than likely, for at least if you make it to World Championship, you will probably definitely need a display screen. Okay, here's a sample of unknown task factors. This is for junior. Again, the starting location orientation will be given. So, for instance, the robot might face to the west edge, the front of the robot. Again, if this is junior, right, the location of rolls number 4 and 5, D and E, will be given. The game ending task, for instance, might be the robot needs to stop with at least one sensor on hovering over the target zone. So that's an example junior unknown task factor. An example unknown task factor for senior. Oops. So let me go back to that. Again, here the robot, again, it might be, this is actually the same starting orientation. So it's possible they could be the same, but they could be different. Keep in mind for senior, right, the locations of rolls 3, 4, and 5 are never unveiled. Only the locations of rolls 1 and 2 for senior are known. In this case here, the game ending task is coincidentally the same for both senior and junior. But in general, they may be different. And of course, you'll get separate unknown task factors for both rounds 1 and 2, which could be different for each round. Okay. Next, the scoring sheet. Okay, and again, this file can be found at our website. Again, all teams competing today should have, the location head judges should have already received this and hopefully printed out at least a couple copies for each round, or maybe at least one copy for each round, 2 copies total. Okay, so this is what the judges need to check at the end of the 2 minutes. Right, so again, first thing they should check is, again, the stacking height. First look for the height of the tallest stack. Is it 5, 4, 3, or 2? Then check the height of the second tallest stack. Is it basically 2 or 1 or 0? But if it's 1 or 0, it's the same number of points. And of course, notice if the highest tallest stack is 5 or 4, you don't need to worry about the second tallest. It's only right if the highest tallest stack is 3 or 2, you need to worry about if the second highest is 2 or not. And that gets those various point values. Then judges, I guess, will need to add up all those points in the far right column. And please make sure you circle at least what is achieved. Hopefully, again, if we need to go back and check the scores, that'll help us if things are circled. So again, if the highest stack was 3, please circle the 3. And if the second highest was 2, please circle the 2. And circling, of course, I guess, right, the 33 would also, I guess, help if that were the scenario. Then next thing, so this is the top half of the scoring sheet, bottom half of the scoring sheet. Make sure you check location points. Again, just count up the number of rolls either completely inside, get 7 points, partially inside, get 3 points. If they're moved from the original location, they get just 1 point. And please check and see if the robot remained intact. So that's 2 points. If they ask for a full reset, they're only allowed a maximum of 1 reset. If they ask for that 1 reset, it's a 3-point penalty. The game-ending task is 10 points. The total score is probably 100 points, but I guess it might be, I'm trying to think of situations where it might be larger, but I'll probably add that in the FAQs, how you might get more than 100 points. If the total score is 100 or more, we ask that the judges record both the time left and the time elapsed. But the good news is, at least since we're doing video recordings, we'll actually probably, again, try and get that information from the videos rather than worrying about if the judges watches the timer like a hawk. Wait, that's the score sheet the judges need to fill out. Wait, how to determine if a roll is in, partially or completely in. Basically, a toilet paper roll is only in if it's completely in. Rolls are allowed to be basically moved sideways is okay. Basically, judges, what you need to look for is kind of like the shadow of the toilet paper, whether that is completely in. So for instance, in the far left, those are all situations where they would get the full 7 points. A toilet paper roll will be partly in if any part of the roll is not completely inside of the target zone. And again, that would count the shadow. And again, we're looking at the projection of the toilet paper roll to make that decision. So hopefully it'll be fairly straightforward whether or not something is in or partly in. Keep in mind, basically, the edge doesn't really count. So for instance, in the middle center, if only, like basically at least some part of the toilet paper roll has to be at least in the target zone to count as being partly in. Then one thing that might be, hopefully we can make it easy, is if a roll is stacked on top of another roll, it's the location, it's whether or not the bottom roll is in or partly in determines anything stacked on top of it. So you only need to worry about the shadow of the roll on the base. So for instance, in the top right, if the base roll, if its shadow is not completely in, then both it and anything stacked on top of it are only partly in. In the bottom right, notice in this case here, the base roll is completely in. So even though the shadow of the thing on top of it is not completely in, because the base is correct, you get points for completely in for both rolls. So for stacked rolls, it's only the base roll determines whether or not everything in the stack achieves the same amount of points. So if the base roll is in, everything stacked on top of it gets in points. If the base roll is only partly in, everything gets only partly in points. And we hope at least that by stating the rules this way, hopefully this will avoid possible confusion. So we hope that making this, defining things this way, hopefully there won't be too many questions about whether or not things are in or partly in for scoring purposes. The next, how to determine if a roll is moved. And keep in mind, this only achieves either 1 point or 0 points. This is one of the reasons why we encourage the use of the hole replacement stickers. When you set up the toilet paper rolls, again, the center should be centered as much as possible with the sticker exactly in the center. Then basically, as long as you can still completely see that sticker inside the middle hole of the toilet paper roll, it will get 0 points. It's only going to be if that sticker is partially or completely covered that it gets move points. So on the slide, the 2 toilet paper rolls on the left get 0 points. If it would look like the 2 toilet paper rolls on the right, it would get 1 point. So hopefully it'll be fairly easy to tell whether or not a toilet paper roll has been officially moved or unmoved. And I think actually now with this slide, it probably actually helps me answer my previously unknown question. So I think it should have gotten 4, not 3 move points, because if you looked at the whole stickers, I think everything except for the unmoved roll on the base would have been moved from its whole replacement sticker. So I think that, sorry, was an error in our PowerPoint earlier on. Okay, then how to score odd stacks. Actually, the oddest stack was probably actually in one of the earlier samples, right when there were 2 on the base. Again, it was only things that were stacked on top of them that can concern the height. In this case here, the odd ones are actually not on the base. And again, you're basically only counting, the distance from the bottom up. So notice the 2, actually all the stacks, I guess, are a little bit odd. I think the 3 on the left are the most odd. There again, since going from the bottom, there's only a height of 3. The stack is going to be 3. Right, and again, you're not kind of allowed to use multiple rolls to get a height. So for instance, you can't count the second on the far left. You can't count that as being like 1 stack of 3 and a second one of 2. Basically, both rolls in the middle are kind of helping get that third roll stacked on top. So again, since the third roll on the far left is only 2 away from the very bottom, it gets a stacking for being 3. Next one to the right will only get a stacking of 4 high and only a single stacking points. So again, then the next one to the right, moving from left to right, also has 4 rolls high. We do emphasize it's not recommended, but if rolls are stacked sideways, they can still get full points. So that also achieves the height of 4. And of course, in all these situations, since 4 rolls have been used up, right, the second highest stack would only be 1 in all these cases. Right. Rules to determine winners and tie breaks. Again, the winner in each A division is going to be determined first by the average score of the 2 rounds. Then if a tiebreaker is necessary, first it's the best score, then the highest time left. Finally, if 2 teams have the same best score, same average score, same best score, same highest time left from the best score, then a rerun would be the third tiebreaker. Okay. And there's a sample score there. I realize I'm running past my allotted time, so I'll move on. Hopefully the next slides, we just have a couple more, but we can talk about at least this scenario maybe during the work time. Reminders, rules, and restrictions. Again, proctors are looking for violations. Again, keep in mind, RollFest, this should be student-only work during the work time. So coaches or parents, basically anyone who's not a team member should not be in the pit area or communicating with teams, either verbally or electronically. And team members, again, should not leave the pit. So again, basically during the 30 minutes, teams should just be working with the robots on their computers in the pit area. And again, once robots are impounded, again, there can be no more work on the robot. And again, please, we ask that all team members, behave. This last one is probably primarily if it's an in-person event. Hopefully, no one is sending ugly chat messages through Zoom or something. But wait, any violations again can result in deduction of points or disqualification. Again, this last thing is also probably more for in-person events. But again, if you do have a parent watching your kids, in the same room, please don't take flash photos because that could actually affect the performance of the robot. Okay, these notes, I think, are just from the official rules. I think we don't really need to worry about them so much today either. Again, of course, judges, please make sure you're at least 1 meter away from the playing field. Same thing applies to team members. Again, if teams are using distance sensors, that could possibly interfere with the robot's performance if a judge or team member gets too close. And basically, any additional information you might need on the game will be posted on our website. Oh, I guess I'm also supposed to have this slide to remind you to sign the RoboFest consent and release form. So that I think should have been provided to the teams and coaches prior to this event. Wait, so FAQs. Again, basically, if rolls are still in the robot when the game ends, they are considered only as moved. So they do not get stacking points. So make sure you unload your toilet paper from your robot if you want to earn the stacking points. It's okay for rolls to be pushed by another roll. If a player fails in starting the robot, they can retouch the robot to start. If robots are touching or holding rolls at the end of the game, that's okay. But again, they'll only get the moving points. Rolls do need to be unwrapped for official competition. Again, you want to make sure, of course, all teams have basically the same size or at least similar size and weight within our specs toilet paper. And again, they all need to be unwrapped. And we strongly recommend extra rolls on hand in case rolls are damaged during the rounds. With one reset, you might want at least 4 rolls for your official round, 2 for each round. Okay, and again, questions?